You're listening to The Knowledge Spot, your #1 resource for sharing information that promotes success, personal development, and happiness. I'm your host, Jared Cherry, and my goal is to shed a light on the strategies, mindsets, and routines that have led to each of my guests' individual success. Thanks for taking the time out of your day to listen, and I hope you enjoy what we have in store. Hi everyone, and thank you for tuning into The Knowledge Spot. For today's episode, I've got a guest that I'm really excited to interview. His name is Ryan Magin, and I would describe you, Ryan, as a men's fitness and fashion expert. Is there anything else you would want to add to that description?
I mean, that's pretty much hits it on the head. I mean, that's pretty much kind of what I do. I mean, I teach fashion, but it's more like men's lifestyle and just kind of how to live a good life, you know?
Right. And you've done a lot of other things in the past too. I mean, I've done a bit of research on you. I've been watching your videos for quite a while now. Pro BMX?
Yeah, that's actually originally how I got online. I created a training DVD helping BMXers get faster on their bike. So that was kind of like my start in the world of, having people find me online.
Right, okay, that's interesting. I'll tell you how I found you online for the first time, and it's probably not going to come as a surprise for you. I'm sure it was the idea. But I found you through Elliot Hulse. I'm a big fan of Elliot. You had an article. You called it the Halo Effect. And
yes.
It instantly clicked with me because I've experienced this effect personally. And that's partially why I'm so excited to interview today, because I think you're targeting a market of men that genuinely needs help and they don't even realize it. And I was one of those men. I was the kind of guy who was, my whole attitude was, I'm going to dress the way I like. If people don't like that, well, fuck them, right? Like, it was like going for like that badass kind of idea. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think society, I mean, there's 2 points that you either succumb to, like, looking how people want you to look, or you have that way you just described. Like, I'm a badass. I don't give a shit what people think. Fuck them. I'm going to do me.
Right.
Exactly. And honestly, they're both wrong.
It's so true. It's like somewhere in the middle you got to meet, where you can be yourself, but realize that what you're wearing, amongst many other things, is going to have an impression on other people that you should be aware of.
Exactly. I mean, honestly, I talk about this in a lot of my products and a lot of my videos. It's just that you don't actually know you have this problem until you change it. So you can continue to keep going like how you're going, like not giving a shit what people think, but you don't realize the benefit of, maybe if I just change myself a little bit, all this cool shit's going to happen.
Oh, man, I can't even, like I said, this is something that personally affected me. And for me, what fixed it was even before I found your videos. I started dating this girl, and she immediately told me right off the bat, I almost won't date you because of the shoes you're wearing. That's what she says to me, right? And I'm going, holy fuck.
Well, you're actually lucky that she said something to you. Most girls don't say anything. They just instantly judge you and just don't care. They're just like, oh, well, fuck that guy. He's hot, but his pants are too baggy. Fuck them. I'm not talking to him
Exactly. And then you get these guys who, they'll approach these girls and they get rejected just like that. And in their head, they kind of convince themselves, well, if she cares about the way I'm dressing, she's not the girl for me anyways. And I think what a lot of these guys are missing is, listen, if you're trying to go for these girls that spend an hour every morning after they wake up just to look nice, and you spend 2 minutes to take a piss and brush your teeth, there's a disconnect right away. You're not the same kind of person, and you're just being lazy in your approach. That's what it's coming down to.
Yeah, and I mean, it's to blame. I mean, like, exactly what you said. I mean, guys, girls spend, my girlfriend spends probably on average 30 minutes, maybe 45, sometimes even an hour if it's like a big event, just getting ready. And then guys just throw on whatever they have and they're ready to go in 5 minutes. Now don't get me wrong, it shouldn't take you that long to get ready. Once you have a base of clothes to wear and an understanding of how to wear them, I like to think I'm pretty, metrosexual, the fact that I do take a lot of care in how I look. Right. I still get ready in 20 minutes.
Yeah. Which is honestly reasonable. There's nothing wrong with taking 20 minutes to make yourself look nice.
Exactly. And most of that is probably ironing my shirt and shaving,
Right, exactly. Yeah, I hear you there. That actually kind of brings up another point I want to talk about. You had a video where you kind of described this type of guy in better detail, where you got a question asking you, what do I tell people who think I'm gay for dressing nice?
Yeah, that I was a little apprehensive on making that video because YouTube hate is strong. So when you put titles like that, it's just asking to get hated on it. And a lot of my videos do, but no, I mean, I feel like, you know, I have a large community in my Facebook group, and a lot of the things is like, hey Ryan, I'm starting to like really care about my appearance, but a lot of my friends and like some of the girls that I hang around with are saying that I'm starting to, you know, act like I'm dressing like I'm gay, or they're thinking that I'm gay because I'm caring about my appearance so much. You know, what do you say to that? And to be honest, I relate to it 100% because all of my girlfriend's friends, like, all ask, like, hey, do you think your boyfriend's gay?
Yeah.
Or like, if you were together, would he be gay? And then silently, they all tell her on the same sentence, well, I really wish you would take my husband shopping. I really wish you would show so-and-so just how, I mean, I can't even take him to a dinner because he doesn't even have clothes to wear, and he won't buy anything I recommend. So it's like, oh, okay, well, you know.
Yeah, that's weird.
So where's the happy medium there? It's like, you can't really win. So, I mean, if caring how you look is considered gay, well, then I'm gay. So, I mean, you know, you just got to kind of not care about it. And I mean, it's hard though, because especially if you're a little uncomfortable at first, like you're just starting to change your appearance and you're starting to, you know, you're already uncomfortable, and then people are adding to it by saying some shit like that. It sucks, but you just got to get through it, because eventually, like, I want to be the guy that looks so overdressed. People might question that, because usually that means that I'm the best dressed guy in the room.
Right, yeah. And that's an interesting phenomenon you touched on right there. It's like, it reminds me of when you're younger, like you're in high school and you got like a really different haircut that you think's going to look so cool. And then right when you're about to ask for it, you're kind of like hesitating, like, fuck, what's everyone going to think when they see me for the first time? You're going to get judged instantly no matter what you do. It's almost like a lose-lose.
Yeah, and I mean, especially in like middle school and high school, you really don't have any idea what you're doing.
No, not at all, not at all.
Although I would say that that's changing now, because I mean, a lot of my demographic, like, you know, at first I didn't know who I was talking to, and I was just kind of putting these messages out there, and
right.
just kind of seeing, and you know, most of my demographic and the people that watch me, I mean, they're finding me through YouTube, and the YouTube's a younger generation, so I mean, I have people as young as like 14 that watch my videos and ask me questions, and that baffles me, because if I had this knowledge when I was in high school, oh my God, that'd have been unstoppable.
Exactly, and that's why I'm so happy there's people like you doing this, because it's filling a gap that I know I needed back in high school. And I know what you mean. I look at these high school kids now, and they've got nice haircuts. They're wearing clothes that fit. I went through my old high school clothes in my grandmother's closet just last week, man. I wear right now medium small to small clothes. My high school clothes, extra large.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the hell was I thinking, right? It just looks so ridiculous.
Yeah, when I was in high school, Jinko was popular. I don't know if anybody listening, I mean, I'm 32, so Jinko was like oversized baggy stuff, and it was just terrible looking. And like I read somewhere they were trying to make a comeback, and I'm like, please God, don't ever come back. Like, please God.
Yeah. It's funny though just how much fashion changes, because I feel like a lot of these guys that dress badly now, they're also kind of holding on to ideals that they thought looked cool, let's say when they were like 11, 12, 13. I know for me, like coming out of high school, I was playing all the Tony Hawk Pro Skater games, and I was listening to that kind of music. So I wanted like the cargo pants and all that thing, right? And then that same girlfriend, right? Let's say I brought cargo pants to like one of her second dates or something like that, and she goes, you know, it's not 1999 anymore, right? And it never even crossed my mind, man. And again, sorry, go on, yeah.
I guess I respect her a lot for just saying something, because it's like guys go so oblivious and they just don't even realize it, because girls don't say anything. So I'm baffled that she did say something to you. I got to commend her for that.
Yeah, I should thank her for that again.
Yeah.
No, it's been incredible. Just again, that gap you fill, and something I've had to realize about myself over time is I'm just the kind of guy or person, you could even say, that has a bad attention to detail. It's just not my strength, and making things look pretty goes hand in hand with detail, so I'm terrible at that. So guys like you, that's why these high school kids are starting to dress nice now, because I'm sure there's so many of them that were like me too, or just didn't care, and now they've got like a source of knowledge, really.
Yeah, and like I said, back on like the people that find me, like I'm being found because, you know, I mean, I'm pretty savvy with the internet. Like, I know what's going to get looked at or what's going to get searched. So I try to do a lot of, like, you know, a lot of my videos kind of have a very broad appeal in the title, because I know, like, for me, it's like, okay, I have to go to a summer wedding. What the hell am I going to wear? So it's like, and then what are kids doing now? They're going to YouTube and they're just typing it in.
It's so true. Anything you want, a how-to video, you go to YouTube, you go to Google.
Yeah, so I mean, I do a lot of those videos because I know that yes, I already have a large following as it is right now, but I know that I'm going to reach a lot more people by these one-off videos. You know, I mean, my highest watched, or my second highest watched video where people find me is how to pinroll your jeans, which I find baffling. It's got like 50,000 views.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me because you're not. No one's taught that these days. You know, maybe our parents learned it, but nowadays, man, I know I don't know how to do that.
Yeah, I mean, people like, and they say, man, Ron, I really like how you have your pants. Like, and I'm like, oh, God, I got to make a video. I mean, I had one, like, just how to lace your shoes. Like, how I lace my boots got, like, 10,000 views. I'm like, holy crap.
Wow.
Like, those are the, I mean, yeah, and it's just, and back on what you were saying as far as, like, you know, people, especially coming out of high school into college, it's like kind of once you come out of high school, it's almost like a lot of guys give up. You know, their hairstyles don't change. Their clothes only change to the point where they have to get a business casual wardrobe because they're getting a job and they need to dress up somewhat 5 days a week.
Right.
And I mean, and they dread that. Like, it's like a bad thing to have to dress up to go to work 5 days a week. You know, I've never had a corporate job, but I mean, if I had to dress up 5 days a week, I would be one badass looking motherfucker every day.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like, I think it comes back to, it's not even that they hate the way they look in these things, it's that they hate the idea that they may be, you know, trying a new identity out. And again, you're going to be judged on that. Coming back to the haircut example, it's just like when people see you like that, people who knew you in high school and people who knew you in college or university, immediately, if you're like the metalhead back then and now they see you with short hair and you're wearing a suit, they're going to think you sold out. Or, you know, that's the kind of thoughts that I imagine are going through people's minds.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, it does, like, everything. I mean, if you're a follower of Elliot Holst, you know, he always talks about, you know, getting comfortable being uncomfortable, and getting out of your comfort zone is huge for achieving success in anything that you're trying to accomplish. But, you know, just that alone, like, I mean, you put a guy, I mean, like, skinny jeans are the devil, I mean, to most guys. And it's just like, no, man, like, why do you spend all that time working out to hide some shit behind some baggy pants and a baggy t-shirt? Like, what do you, like, I don't get it. It doesn't register with me anymore.
It's so true, yeah.
I would never want to hide my teeth.
Yeah, you see that all the time. It's right. All this work people put in to making, like, their body look better, and then they just relinquish it all by wearing terrible clothes.
Exactly. And that was what, you know, or if they wear it like a badge of honor, like, oh, you know, my jeans, I can't find pants to fit because my quads are so big. It's like, dude, that's a terrible problem to have. Like, I don't envy you.
I think you actually mentioned that on one of your videos. You're like, I think you mentioned, like, Elliot had that problem where just so many you had that problem actually just from so many deadlifts. You're like, you know what, my ass is too fucking big for any pants to fit in these days.
Well, for me now, it's not so much like, because I cycle a lot. Like, I mean, most people don't know, but I wake up every morning and I ride road bikes, I ride fixed gears. I average about 100, 150 miles a week on my bike. So my quads are just naturally big, but they're lean. So it's like, and that's why, like, I'm like, well, yeah, I can, you know, I don't understand. Yeah, you can squat a lot, but why are your legs so big? Like, are you fat? Like, you know, like, what's going on here? And then it's like, I look at somebody like Elliot, I'm like, Elliot's got the biggest legs of anybody I know. Who's not, like, I don't know any IFBB bodybuilders, but I wouldn't wish that on anybody. You know, like, I mean, but Elliot's got, and even he went to Diesel and fit into a pair of skinny jeans.
Right, yeah.
Because I took him there. Like, I made him try them on, and he wears them quite a bit. He likes them, like, because they make him look good.
Exactly. And once you know what it feels like to look good, and especially if you're the kind of guy in high school who always associated yourself as being ugly. It's so amazing how much putting a little effort into your appearance, and we can go beyond clothes, we can go to just exercise, we can go to shaving. So many little things will make these guys who come out of, let's say they come out of high school as virgins, and they just, you know, you see them in college, these guys that come in first year college, and you know, this guy kind of comes off like a bit of a loser, and it's because he has no confidence in the way he looks.
Hold on, can you turn the volume down just a little bit? Yeah, the TV. With that, sorry, I got the TV turned down for you.
Oh, thank you.
I'm sorry. It's like, there's like one person in here who's staring at the TV. Usually there's nobody in here.
What's on right now?
And it's golf. Like,
oh, yeah, they got the tournament going on.
Yeah, so, like, normally I work in the cigar bar, and there's never anybody here. There's, like, maybe one or two people, and, like, the internet's super fast, and, like, it's quiet, it's cool, it's manly, and, like, of course, today when I have a Skype call with you, there's, like, a fucking TV going on.
Yeah, it's no big deal. It was actually a little louder before we even started recording, but it's not making a big difference now, so.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Well, I moved kind of away from it, so we should be.
Yeah.
But anyways, I'm sorry. Cool. I totally cut you off there to tell that dude to turn it down.
Yeah, no worries. I was just saying, I feel like your advice too, let's even go beyond these people who lack an attention to detail. It also hits, perhaps is even more important, like kids. Let's talk about kids, but there's also adults with this kind of feeling too, where they just feel ugly and they feel trapped, and they don't even realize just how much can change by putting a little effort into their appearance rather than just giving up. And clothes is a big part of that.
Well, yeah, I mean, to go on that, I mean, and this is like a deep psychological level, I mean, what's the divorce rate in America right now? I mean, it's like basically 50-50 right now.
Right,
like, you might make it, and what's the number one reason that people divorce is either money issues or people cheating on each other.
Right.
Well, why are they cheating? Well, when you look at it, it's not that you did anything wrong. It's just, dude, you look like the same dude from high school. Or the attraction is gone. There's no spark. That shit's real. And couples break up all the time, and marriages get shattered because wives cheat on their husbands, or even, same thing. The roles are reversed. If a woman gives up too, and the husband cheats on the wife, like it doesn't matter. It's not like gender bias, but
exactly,
it is real. And if you're wearing the same stuff and you're not taking care of your body, like that's why I'm so big on fitness. Like I'm not about to try to be an IFBB bodybuilder, but I make it an effort no matter what to stay lean, because, well, for one, clothes don't fit very well unless you're lean.
Yeah.
And two, it's healthy and it keeps attraction and it makes you more visibly appealing to the opposite sex. And nobody, I don't care who you are, whether you've been married for 10 years or you're just single or just coming out of high school, when you get hit on by a girl, it makes you feel amazing.
Yeah, no doubt.
So it's like, why wouldn't I want that all the time?
Right, and that actually kind of brings up another question I had for you. I wanted to ask, do you think it's possible to be good looking, let's say for a large amount of women, and be out of shape? Or do you think is that like a disconnect that people need to realize, that if you are completely out of shape, you're just never going to be good looking and you've already lost the battle?
Well, no, I think that, and that's something like, I mean, because I follow all that, like the pickup generation and all that.
Yeah.
And they preach looks don't matter. Well, looks do matter, because looks are first impression. And first impressions. No girl wants to be around a guy that's fat, ugly, and doesn't take care of himself.
Exactly. And especially sorry to interrupt, but coming back to those same guys are the ones who will approach a girl who spends an hour getting ready every day.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a huge disconnect for the girl, because she's like, well, why do I try so hard if no guys, will put in the effort? And it's like, well, and like the pickup world, and those guys will be like, oh, well, she's an insecure bitch, or she's stuck up. You don't want to be with somebody like that anyways. Well, it's like, no, it's like they have basic standards. Like, can you afford to buy an ice cream cone? Or, do you look like you brushed your teeth in a month and a half? Like, it's like, are these standards really that hard to meet? Like, I mean, and it is, so I mean, yeah, I mean, if you're a bigger guy, like, by all means, like, I know some stylish bigger guys, but it comes down to, it's like, okay, well, are you happy being big? If you're happy being big, then cool, then your confidence is going to be up and you're going to be good to go.
Right.
They make clothes in all sizes, and tailors make things look really good on every body frame. So yeah, like if you're happy being big and you have confidence, and you that will shine through, and that will make you more attractive.
Right. Yeah. It'll help no matter what.
But I mean, with society the way it is, and like especially now with like the Instagram filter age, there's such this high standard of beauty and what the idealistic feature or like ideal man, ideal woman is supposed to look like. That no, I don't think that being fat and out of shape and not being attractive, I don't think that will ever trump a guy who's dumb as shit, who's broke his hell with a 6-pack.
I couldn't agree anymore. It's the guy who's going to work and the guy who's going to be lazy. And traditionally, it doesn't matter what endeavor these two people are competing at, the guy who isn't lazy is going to win.
Yeah, and that comes back to the halo effect. That's why I feel so strongly about the halo effect, because if you're ugly, it's not only ruining your chances with women, because that's a very small part of it. But I mean, there's been scientific studies and all kinds of things that prove that with like convicts. Why do you think they put all convicts in well-fitting tailored suits before they go into huge trials? Because it makes them appear more attractive, more trustworthy, more honest.
Interesting. Yeah.
Even though that's complete and utter bullshit. I mean, if you're a bad dude, you're a bad dude.
Right.
But it's been proven that people have received less and less jail time because they look more attractive.
Yeah, it's just a reality people got to deal with, and not be lazy about it. Once again, like, just don't give up is what I would say to these men that feel ugly, and just really try. There's so much resources like yourself available for these guys, and you see them all the time, man. I can't tell you how many depressed friends I've gone through and I've had that the root of their depression is this feeling of ugliness, whether it be inner or outer, and often it's both, and it's not incurable. That's what these people need to realize.
Yeah, and I mean, if you once you, and you'll probably get this because you obviously kind of had the awakening and you started dressing better. Once you like start dressing well, and then you just look around, like I was at brunch yesterday with my girlfriend and a bunch of her friends, and they all have, a lot of them have boyfriends, and literally all of them were dressed pretty poorly.
Right.
And then there was me, who wasn't dressed poorly.
Yeah.
And like the vibe at the table was everybody was really happy to see me, and you could just see the disdain in a lot of the wives, like, because they're just like, you know, all around, I really like your shirt, or wow, I really like how you put that outfit together. This is like women complimenting you. I mean, so how does that make the boyfriend feel?
Jealous, no doubt, right?
Yeah,
Jealous.
so it's like, and I mean, clearly I'm there with my girlfriend, so it's not like I'm trying to like do anything, but it's like, okay, like, you know, I appreciate the compliment, and they're like, oh, they're like, Bill, you should get with Ryan and have him take you shopping. Well, if a girl is saying that to a guy, that's pretty, that makes him feel like shit.
No doubt, yeah.
And that's another reason, like, I always, like, when it comes to, like, my, you know, my videos and stuff, it's like the person searching for it isn't really actively going to go out and say, oh, I can't believe I found this awesome YouTube video that about the proper underwear to wear when I turn 35. Like, nobody's going to, like, admit that they searched that.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, so it's good. Like, so I mean, I'll be the guy putting those videos out there for people to search for, and they'll get views, which baffles me, you know.
Yeah, that's interesting. And I wanted to ask you too, who would you say? Let's talk about your fashion videos specifically. Would you say that these videos are appealing to that pickup generation you're talking about, or to a different kind of man?
Well, I'll be honest. I gear a lot of my stuff because you can tell a guy, you know, you can be straight up with a guy and say, dude, you look like shit. And he'll be like, okay. And then it's like, well, and they won't do anything about it.
Yeah.
But when he's a single guy and he's been rejected by a bunch of women, and you say, dude, what if I told you that I could put you in an outfit that'll make that same girl that just rejected you, you know, want to talk to you?
Yeah.
Now he's going to listen to you.
For sure, for sure.
Or it's, hey, what if I told you if you wear this exact suit and you get it made the way that I tell you to get it made, you'll make 6 figures per year.
Yeah. Who could resist, right?
Like, and it's more or less just to get people to watch it because I know they need the knowledge.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, because the women aspect, like I say, it's very, what's the word I'm looking for? Superficial. Like, yeah, no, there's no, I mean, I have videos titled The #1 Shirt Women Can't Resist. Well, kind of, it's bullshit. But there is shirts that women tend to like on men, and that's what I'm telling you to wear.
Yeah, exactly. You're kind of arguing, what's the word I'm looking for? It's on the tip of my tongue, but it doesn't matter. Yeah, that actually, I was wondering what you thought about that, because obviously, like you just said, it's interesting that it comes from women, this kind of criticism, where it's basically, are you promoting, would you say, a lifestyle that aims at men? I don't want to say taking advantage of women, but it's almost like using women for gain. Would you say, like, do you think your videos lean too much on that side? And I'm not saying they do. I'm wondering what you think of that.
Sometimes I think that I personally don't want to be lumped into the pickup culture.
Right.
Even though I'm a very big fan of the products and what they do to help people, you know, improve their lives, you know, and people do need to manufacture their own confidence, you know, like with bullying and with, you know, I mean, with food choices the way they are, with society, I mean, with the standards of beauty that we have to hit, it's very hard for a guy, especially coming out of high school or going into high school, to have this positive, you know, energy about themselves. So it's like they come out of high school into the real world, and yeah, their confidence is pretty low.
Yeah.
You know, and if it takes you to buy a book that's going to teach you how to get laid to up that, I'm all for it.
Right.
You know, because not only, I mean, and that's what most pickup products are. It's all personal development. It's just packaged in a way that makes people go, yeah, I want to have sex every night of the week.
That's so true. It's like the same strong arguments that other, let's say, self-help authors have been pushing for years, except this one's aimed at a very specific target.
Yeah, and I mean, it is some of, like, you know, but it also comes down to, too, I mean, I get paid off view counts. I get paid off how many people watch my videos. I get paid when people, you know, how many people are on my email list. I mean, this is me being very transparent. So, I mean, I make more money the more people that watch me. So It's like, I do need to get you to watch the video. And if I say 3 ways to wear an Oxford button-up, or I name the video 3 ways to wear a shirt that women will find irresistible, like, I'm going to make the title that because
sex sells.
Yeah. And I mean, there's a reason that, you know, there's women on every cigarette advertisement. There's women, like, you know, so, I mean, I'm not going to, you know, what's the word for the old, like, from Bad Boy, like, don't hate the player, hate the game.
Yeah.
You know?
It's true, yeah.
I mean, yeah, I'm going to continue to do that. Whether or not it lumps me in that category, I don't know. I mean, but a lot of people do lump me in the pickup category. But, I mean, I've had the same girlfriend. You know, we broke up for a little bit, but we've been together 4 years. So
Exactly. That's why I found your case so interesting. It's like, I had a feeling that a lot of your audience was going to be this pickup generation, as you called it. But then at the same time, like, you're obviously, women are attracted to you, but you've had a steady girlfriend for a long time, like you just said.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have my realization. I mean, this is kind of my story. I mean, I get a lot of people that think, like, my entire, you know, if you go to, like, 51handsomeguysecrets.com, like, the video that plays, yes, it's a marketing video, and it's designed to make you want to buy my product, but the story is 100% true.
That's an amazing story, too, man.
Yeah. I mean, me and my girlfriend, we were together, like, 2.5 years, and, like, you know, I would, you know, I'll say it, like, I never didn't necessarily say I gave up, but I just didn't know.
Yeah,
like,
you're just ignorant, right?
Yeah, like, I came from a fuck you generation entrepreneurial background, and I was like, I don't need to dress, you know, good. Well, it became not so much as, yo, I'm not trying to change who you are, but it's respectful for all the people that you're going to meet, and it's respectful for myself and my career. If you can just dress up nice and come to this dinner with me.
Exactly. It's just it's a feeling of respect too that comes out of that.
Mm-hmm. And it's so me and my girlfriend at the time, like, we, you know, I didn't want to change, and she wanted somebody that was fitting a different role, which I completely understand now, because, and that's another thing too that guys need to understand. Like, yeah, you can go out and you can meet a lot of girls and you can have sex with a lot of girls, but when it comes time to, if you do want to settle down and even have a steady girlfriend, they don't want a guy that goes out every night picking up chicks.
Exactly, yeah.
You know, they want a guy that has his shit together, that is going to be a good, you know, possible father to their child, possible, you know, that they can introduce to their friends with pride and be like, this is my boyfriend Jimmy, and he's fucking killing it. He's a high level accountant. You know, he works, you know, or he's a lawyer. He's an entrepreneur. I mean, it doesn't matter. Like, you could be a manager at 7-Eleven, but when you walk out of that building and you're dressed to the nines, nobody's gonna know you work for 7-Eleven. You know, like, so it's just a respect thing, especially for your, you know, because I look at it. I mean, my girlfriend does very well. She's a 6-figure earner herself. So it's like, when you're at that level, you are meeting a lot of people that are very concerned about appearances and first impressions. So it is like you say, it's a respect thing. And
exactly.
If you don't get that properly when the first time you meet somebody, yeah, your chances are about 90% that you're never going to recover from that.
So true. First impressions mean so much. And it comes back again to what you said. Don't hate the player, hate the game, right? You're just playing their game. If they want to play dress up like that, and you got to be part of it. If you want to earn their respect, you can't be lazy about it. It comes back to that again.
Yeah, and I mean, but if you like, I mean, I'd say dumb that down a little bit. It's, yeah, you're not necessarily playing the game, but if I can wear an outfit that makes me look like, you know, I'm an entrepreneur. I work for myself. I have for like 7 years now.
Right.
You know, I've never needed to go out and get a job. Like, I mean, I have an intelligence level that a lot of people don't have because of that. You know, like, so
Definitely.
when I walk into a room and I'm wearing, you know, skate shoes and some like, you know, ripped up skinny jeans and like a fringy haircut, I haven't shaved in a week, that makes me look like, you know, it makes me look bad. It doesn't make me look like a smart, you know, intelligent, well put together entrepreneur who has his shit together.
Right.
You know, so it's like, and then when I tell people, it's like, well, you could wear skate shoes or you can wear a pair of wingtips and people will think you make six figures a year.
Yeah, exactly, and it makes such a big difference how people initially perceive you. I actually I want to segue a little bit because you're bringing something up that I think you do extremely well. And we live right now in a generation where I say we're surrounded with internet entrepreneurs, like these digital entrepreneurs. And you're one of the few that I've come across that I just love the way you go about it. And I'm hoping I could pick your brain for a lot of tips that my audience could listen to. Because one of the things I think you do extremely well is presentation. You know what works and what doesn't work, and I'm curious where you learned that from.
Like, are you talking as far as like website presentation, or how I look on camera? Explain that a little bit. Like,
I mean, if I search Ryan Magin on Google and I come to any one of your pages, it looks professional. You know what I mean? Like, your YouTube videos are set up with a good camera, the audio's good. You go to your website, it looks like a great sales website. Like, you know your stuff works.
Well, it didn't always start like that. So I'll be totally transparent there. I mean, as I started making more and more money, I have been a lot more concerned with presentation, because kind of once you set a standard for yourself, like once you sleep with a 10, you can't, you feel bad sleeping with a 3. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I don't want to, and especially, and I'll attribute a lot of that to more or less the internet. I mean, the internet is maturing now. So a lot of the sales websites that you saw 5 years ago don't work anymore because they're just that. They're sales pages.
People know right away. Yeah, they're like, this guy's trying to rip me off, or this guy's trying to take something from me.
Yeah, and I mean, there are principles that will never go away. Like, one of my mentors is, Dan Kennedy. I've never met the guy, but, I've read every single one of his books, and I have gigs of his information on my hard drives. It's direct marketing principles never change. But if I can take something that somebody would necessarily look at it first and be like, and shun, he's just trying to sell to me. Well, how can I make it look cool? Like, how can I make it look like, okay, this guy, I can see he's probably going to sell to me, but he's doing it like he's not a douchebag.
Exactly. So what would be your, sorry to interrupt again, but what would be your tip for people who are trying to achieve that thing where I want to sell you something, but I don't want to seem like a douche? What would be your number one tip there?
Well, number one thing for me is when I'm scrolling around on the internet, if somebody makes me buy something, I want to know why.
Right.
Right. And I look at a lot of, you look at like big brands, like, because I probably to a lot of people look like I'm this huge like brand, when in reality, like you mentioned my videos being professional, all it is it's a tripod on a selfie stick with my iPhone on top of it in my living room.
And it still works. It's amazing how that works.
But it looks like this huge thing, but in reality, it's like, okay, I invest, and I spend my money where I know it's going to be well received. Like, I always have good graphics for my sites.
Yeah.
Because the product image is number one. Because look at, same thing, principles work. Like, when you walk through the grocery store, look at the labels and the brands. Companies spend millions of dollars to get brands and logos that work. There's a reason for that, because they are remembered, they sell, people buy them, people trust them. So if you have this shady looking site, people aren't going to trust you. So like that's a knock right away. Now you have to rely on the words on the page being extra strong to be able to sell that person. Then go backwards from there. It's like, okay, well, is the site clean? Does the site, like, I am anal retentive about my sites working well on mobile now.
It's so key.
Like, and that's because it's like, okay, well, if somebody looks at my stuff and they go to it from their phone, well, I want to make sure it works.
Exactly. It's that first impression. It's weird how you could definitely link that back to what we were talking about with fashion. When someone meets you in person for the first time, that same first impression is so important with people.
Exactly. And that's kind of, that's my basically my best tip is, like, if you buy something online because, like, just stop and think for a minute, oh, what made me buy this? Like, obviously, like, if you're buying, a certain type of dish soap, it's just because it's this dish soap you may have used, or laundry. But, like, beyond that, like, if you buy somebody's book, well, why did you buy that book?
Right.
Was it just the knowledge in it, or did the cover happen to catch your eye on, in Amazon? Well, it's like, okay, well, maybe I would have never read this book and gotten this knowledge that maybe potentially changed my life if I never saw that flashy cover that he had.
Exactly. And it makes you wonder about that old expression, if you build it, they will come. It makes you think maybe there's a little bit of bullshit in that, or maybe it's only partially true. It's your content can be amazing, and it has to be amazing, but it's only half of the game. It's same thing with fashion. Again, if you're a great person on the inside, but you look like a slob on the outside, you're losing part of it.
Exactly. And it's, like that's kind of been my, like, because I mean, and if there's people listening to this that would want to start a business online and they can't afford anything, because I know when I started, I couldn't afford shit.
Right.
Like, I was really broke, and I didn't want to get a job, and I was doing my best to, I didn't have good graphics. I didn't have a good site. Like, so then it's like, well, what did I rely on? Good content.
And because how far would you say that took you?
I still rely on that to this day.
That's a pretty inspiring thing to tell people, because again, it's like you said, so many people are going to be pursuing their own passion with no money to begin with, and they're going to be wondering, well, how far can my passion take me without other means?
Exactly. And it's more of it all comes back to trust, because when you hand somebody, like, think about like a salesman in person. Like, if somebody's trying to sell you, let's say, your car, there's all car salesmen usually wear suits. They all look pretty presentable.
Right.
But it's the one that asks you specific questions. It's the one that, like, talks to you like a human being that you're probably going to buy. And why did you buy? Not because, of his suit. You bought because he actually gave a shit about you.
Exactly. In the end, there was something deep down that the superficial stuff, while important, they don't really mean as much as the other stuff in the long run.
Mm-hmm. And that's kind of, I mean, with the YouTube generation and with blogging, like, you could have the ugliest site, but if you just wrote every single day something that was going to help somebody, then when you came out with a product, presentation, it's going to matter. You'll make more if you invest more into the good site, a good graphic. But if you just said, man, I gotta sell this, I gotta make money, you just put it out there. I mean, I've sold stuff directly into a PayPal cart before, where it's just a link to my PayPal,
Yeah, and in the end, the product was good enough that it sold.
Yeah, I mean, because people trusted my advice. Like, when my first BMX DVD came out, I was fortunate enough that I had my father was a really good videographer. He still is to this day. But I begged him to film me it was actually Elliot Holst's gym. Right. I was like, yo, can you film me for like 2 hours? I'm just going to go through a bunch of exercises that I know will help BMXers get faster. And he said yes. And that eventually, because it was my dad, he did some cool editing on it. And, he made it like, so it had chapters in the DVD and stuff. But if it wasn't him doing that, I would have just hit start and started recording and talking for 2 hours.
Boom, and it probably still would have been not as good, but there would have been great stuff there no matter what.
Yeah, and people would have still bought it. People would have still watched it, because to a point, it doesn't really, matter about so much the presentation, but it is the content and how you perceive it, So, but no, naturally, as I've evolved as an entrepreneur, and as, I've started working with accountants and things like that, to, you get tax write-offs for certain things. And
right.
The more write-offs you have, like graphics and site design, like, it helps with your taxes, and it helps, so I get cool stuff and I save money on it in the long run, but it makes me more money in the process. So it's like,
win-win. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, anybody listening, like, you don't need all that to start. I mean, honestly, it is good. It will help you. You will make more money, but don't let any of that stop you, because I personally, people ask me all the time, what should I do? And I tell them, I'm like, well, if you have a topic of knowledge, or something that that people are interested in, that that you could help, and if you did a video about that every day for a year, people would trust you.
Yeah, because you're being authentic.
Mm-hmm. And that's and then I'm really big on collecting emails. Like, I mean, even if you sign up for my email list, like, the graphic on the email page cost me like $300, and that's to give it away for free.
Yeah, and it pays off, honestly. It's like I said, you're one of the few that I come across where I go, this guy's doing it right. I'm on your email list, and I love it. It looks good, you know what I mean? The content's good to begin with, and then the presentation's good, and it tops it all off.
And that's what I said. Like, if somebody's that I'm following, if I go, man, I like this guy's stuff, or this guy's cool, that's who I study and that's who I follow.
Right, yeah, and that makes perfect sense. So I'm wondering then, I think you mentioned earlier that for 7 years now, you've basically been working for yourself. Is that what you said, 7 years?
I think so. I mean, the first 2 or 3 years were kind of a blur because it was like I cashed out a really big 401k to live off of for like 2 years to try to figure shit out. Because I worked retail. I worked at Lowe's for, I think it was like 6 years. I worked for Lowe's. I went through like all the management training. Like I wanted to be a manager and like have my own store. And I thought that was like the American dream. And then I was working 60 hours a week as a salesman. And I was like, this can't be. This isn't, I don't want to dream anymore. This dream, I want to wake up. This sucks.
Yeah, so then I'm wondering then, is there like a specific moment or a specific thing that you can pinpoint where you went, I've woken up from this dream and I'm actually able I've woken up from what I thought was a dream. I know what the real dream is and it's actually going to work. Is there a time where you just went, let's talk specifically money even, where you're going, wow, I'm going to make enough money that I can do this?
Well, first realization was, because when I quit Lowe's, I was making a little over, I want to say around $40,000 a year.
Right.
And that was as like, I was a salesman, I was commission based, I was really doing well. But I was at a pivotal point where it was like, I was still racing my bike at the time. Like I was working, I would take off the weekends and I'd travel around the country and ride my bike. And I had sponsors and a couple of my sponsors and like, hey, are you thinking about going pro? Are you thinking about, and I was like, well, yeah, I'd love to. So that kind of deterred me right at first. It was like, well, when I went through the management training, they basically said you can't take this many weekends off. And I was like, and I really like, I was by myself at the time, like, and I was just like, I kind of just like, well, is this what I want? Do I want, like, what if I, do I want to just take a chance and maybe turn pro and just see what happens? Like, what, will I regret this when I'm like 65, 70 years old? Man, I didn't turn pro. I had the chance. Like, why, because I decided to work for Lowe's. I was like, and that was like when I said that to myself, and then I weighed the options. Well, how much money does a store manager make? And a lot of them make like 6 figures plus. A lot of them get good bonuses, so it was a very lucrative job. But then I weighed in. Well, they work a lot, and I wouldn't be able to ride my bike. When I get home from working like 11-hour shift, I don't feel like working out, so I'm probably going to get fat. I'm probably going to hate my girlfriend, and she's going to hate me. We're going to get divorced. Like, all these things started going through. So I basically walked in one day and just quit. I didn't have a plan. Yeah, I didn't have a plan. I didn't really know what was going on. Like, I knew I had worked up. I was pretty smart with 401ks and stuff when I worked there.
Right.
So I had like 20 grand in 401k, and I literally lived on that for like, I would say almost 2.5 years, trying to figure shit out as like an entrepreneur and basically I wanted to make the BMX thing work. So I was funding my own travel. Like I had a few sponsors, but eventually I needed money. So I was like, well, let me just try, this internet thing that, cause I was fortunate enough that I kind of stumbled upon Elliot, before he kind of had anything yet. And he was kind of messing around with this internet thing. And I was like, what are you doing? And he kind of told me, and I was like, that sounds cool. I'm going to do it for BMX. And that's when I made the DVD. And I never made I wouldn't say that the DVD was ever a smash seller. Like I never actually made it selling a BMX DVD. Like the world, like I was probably making $1,000 a month selling that DVD. But I learned a lot really quickly about market size. Like I learned about, serving a need, helping people. And like you said, I was so broke at the time that I didn't know how to, make websites. So I couldn't even afford to buy books to teach me. So I would go to Barnes and Noble and Borders, and I would sit on the floor and I would take a notebook and I would read and this was like when WordPress was first coming out, which is like the gold standard for sites now. And I taught myself, I would go home and I would work on my site, and every time I had a problem, I'd write down exactly what the problem was. And then the next day I would go to Borders, and then I'd sit on the floor and I'd figure out that problem.
Wow, that's again, you didn't take the lazy way out of it. You did something about the issues you were having, and it paid off clearly.
And I mean, I like to think that I had a little bit to do with why Borders is no longer in business, because I never bought books. I feel really bad about that.
Yeah, I'm in Canada, man, so I don't even know what Borders is. I'm guessing it's like a Chapters or an Indigo.
Yeah, I mean, do you have Barnes and Noble? Like, I mean, it was like one of the biggest bookstores in like, but they went out of business when like Kindle basically put everybody out of business.
They never stood a chance.
Yeah. So I mean, but I would have books, and I would hide books. I would like mark pages, because like the coding books were always like $100 a book, and I'm like, man, I can't afford that.
Yeah. I remember those HTML for Dummies books, things
Yep.
like that. Yeah.
that I've read that book. I actually read that was one book I did invest in, because I got tired of driving the Borders.
Yeah, it was worth it. I had the same one. So I'm wondering then, if it wasn't the BMX video that goes, okay, you're making some money doing something you love, and obviously that's encouraging. But what was it when it clicked and you went, I can actually keep doing this and not have to worry about money?
Well, once I realized that the BMX wasn't like going to make me rich, and I mean, I was kind of in, I would say, a bad place at that time. Like, just because you're trying to figure shit out. Like, I'm kind of broke, but I'm not really broke, and I can't afford to do cool stuff. And I kind of decided that I didn't really want to ride anymore, because it was deterring from what I really want to do, which was eventually, be a success. And I knew that, like, I was too good to be an amateur, but not good enough to be a top professional. I fell in that like weird category. It took me a really long time to be able to admit that to myself. But once I did, like, I was kind of in this like dark place. I was going out a lot, like I was drinking with friends, and I had started to figure out affiliate marketing at the time, because once BMX, I was like, well, what is the next best thing that I really like? And I was like, well, that's building muscle and working out and strength training. So I just started kind of doing the same stuff, but talking about working out. And this is, before like the YouTube, everybody got really popular on YouTube for just having vlogs and stuff.
Yeah.
And, once again, going back to knowing Elliot, like I had known that if you build something for free and give it away, you can sell them other stuff.
Interesting.
So and that's what they call affiliate marketing. And I was like, well, this is cool. I don't have to have anybody. No customer service. I can just sell people stuff to these email people, the people that are on my list, and I can make passive income. And I was like, well, that's pretty cool. So I started doing that. And I mean, I really started kind of doing better, but I was still kind of, I would say I was doing like maybe $50 to $75 a day.
Right.
And that was like replacing what I used to make at Lowe's. And the first time it actually hit me, and this is going to sound it's going to make me look so bad, but I actually was, like I said, I was in a dark place, and I got arrested while drunk one night, and the cop was a real big dickhead to me while like I got arrested, just because clearly I was a belligerent asshole. Like, it was my fault.
Right.
But he said something to me, and I was like, you're just mad because it's 3 a.m. and when I get out of jail tomorrow, I'm going to make more than I spent tonight. And that was true. I did.
Wow.
Like, I was running a promotion, and when I literally got, I got out the next morning on my own recognizance, or whatever you want to call it, and it was like just drunken public charges for anybody that cares. Yeah. Like, it was a stupid mistake, but I think I woke up and I had like $300 or $400 more in my account than I went to bed with.
And this is all through the workout stuff. This is all the strength training kind of thing, right? Yeah,
that was all strength training. Like, that was all selling. I actually made a lot of money selling. I had figured out some SEO stuff that was kind of like, I mean, if you heard the term black hat SEO and things, like, I got really good at manipulating Google and showing up for things that it doesn't work anymore. Like, I had found a loophole and I exploited the hell out of it.
Wow.
And that's when I was really, really starting to make it as an affiliate. Like, I like moved back out of my parents' house, which I moved into when I quit Lowe's because I was so broke. And I bought a luxury apartment in my downtown area. Like, and that was when I had the fuck you, like, I'm awesome. Like, I was buying bottle service at the nightclubs and like just being a complete degenerate.
But rich.
Yeah, I mean, like, I still wouldn't think it's, but I mean, like, $300, $400, $500 a day is doing pretty well.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So, and that's actually, when Google, that's how I met my girlfriend. Like, I met her when I moved to where I live now, and I was that guy when I met her. and we would go out a lot, party, had a good time, and we got to know each other, and then we got together. But then Google kind of laid the hammer down on all those sites.
Oh.
So overnight again, I had pretty much lost everything.
Wow.
And I was just like, shit, now what do I do? And then that's when I realized, that was like the aha moment, that I needed to actually make a business on the internet. Like, not
so what was the difference? Before, would you call it a product?
Before it was just a hobby. Like, I had figured out different ways to make money.
Right. So then what separates a hobby that makes money from a business?
Well, customers, but not necessarily customers, just, in my opinion, making a difference in people's lives. Like, because what I was doing, I was making money, but I really wasn't helping anybody change their life.
Really? Even through the strength training kind of thing?
I mean, I was to a point, but there's a difference between seeing like a $30 commission off somebody you don't know than reading a comment in my Facebook group of a customer that has all my products and that tells me I've changed their life and they've done this because of this. Like, there's a difference there.
Yeah, there's a big difference in influence there.
Yeah, and that was kind of a realization that, man, this is pretty cool. I really need to just, figure out something where I can kind of provide value to the world and something that I'm proud of. Because you try explaining to somebody that, I have multiple sites on Google that rank for terms that you probably don't want to know people search for. And they buy products that I recommend, but I don't own the product, and it's really hard to explain.
Yeah, I see what you're doing there. So, you were an affiliate, basically. Right.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And I mean, don't get me wrong, there's people that make a lot of money as affiliates, way more than I ever did.
Right.
But you just get to a point where, you're never selling, you're just helping somebody else grow their business. Yeah,
you're not really, and you're not doing, you may be helping someone, but not really at a personal, I'm connecting with my customer level. And I think that's a really interesting way to think about the difference between a business and, as you put it, a hobby that makes money. I know I've never thought of that, where you can make money and really not be a business. I like that distinction too, because it'll propel people in the right direction when they're going about their business, as opposed to just being obsessed with money. Really, like in my experience, what's always worked for me is actually the exact same thing you're talking about and everyone talks about, is pursuing what you're passionate about, but making sure you're of service to someone at the same time.
Yeah, and it goes far beyond, like, I mean, the money comes, like, it really does, like, especially, like, if you, like, I forget who said it, or I think it was Dan Kennedy, that's like, or I don't remember who said it, but if you help 1 million people get what they want, you'll be rewarded with what you want.
Yeah.
And that's like a powerful statement, because, as my YouTube grows and as my customer base grows, I make more and more money, but I'm also helping more and more people.
Exactly. It's almost like the success becomes a side effect rather than a direct pursuit.
Yeah, and it's not. It's you're leading with value, and not, like, I just made a video today about networking. If you lead with a giving hand, if you lead with a value-based hand, like, you're rewarded. The universe just naturally rewards you with, whatever it may be, whether it be a good contact, whether it be, a free private jet flight, or whether it be $1,000.
Yeah.
You have to be worth that. You have to provide enough value to the world that where you're worth making $1 million a year or $100,000 a year. And if you're only making $50,000 a year, well, then you're only worth that much to the world.
Exactly. And so what do you have to say to those people? Let's say that they're working an office job, they're making $50,000 a year. They want more. They just don't know how to approach it. Is it as simple as find something you're passionate about and make it of service? Is that the simple truth to you?
Well, it is to me, because I have something that is of service to people, helping them dress better.
Right.
And a lot of people don't have that. So a lot of people come and they try to make businesses on the internet because they see, like, these mild internet famous, like, oh, I can become famous on YouTube, or I can become famous on Twitter, or I can become famous on Instagram. But it's like, well, yeah, you can, but you're not necessarily going to make money from that unless you have knowledge that people want to pay you for.
Exactly. And even then, it comes back to, when your approach is simple as, I want to be famous, I want to make money, I think you're flawed right from the get-go. I think that's a big mistake. Obviously, we need money and we need success to survive and to thrive, but if you make that your main pursuit, I think you make the target easier to miss.
Yeah, and like I said, that's leading with a selfish hand. That's not leading with a giving hand.
Right.
And I think that blocks most people because, well, for one, like if you're working a 9 to 5 right now and you absolutely hate it, well, yeah, obviously you want to start something where you make money and then you can quit your job. Well, in reality, that's not the best way to do it. The best way is to stay up till 3, 4 o'clock in the morning every night, get no sleep, work on your business at home, go to your job so you can pay your bills, and then if your business takes off enough to where you're at a crossroads with, hey, if I quit now, in 6 months I'll be making the same as what I am making at my job, then it's a good idea to quit.
Yeah.
Like, don't do what I did and just quit your job with no plan. I don't recommend that to anybody because I lived that, and there was a lot of dark times there and shit that you don't hear about in self-help books. Like,
Yeah,
you know, like not being able to buy books or not being able to, like, I mean, I've had, you know, scraped by on change, like begged my mom for $20 so I could eat. Like,
yeah.
you know, and I mean, you don't hear about shit like that, and like, you know, The Secret doesn't tell you about that. Well, it's like you can wish all you want about making money, but if you can't eat, if you can't buy yourself a 99-cent double cheeseburger, you're not doing so good.
Yeah, there's something missing there, and I think a lot of that, like you mentioned, you wouldn't recommend that to anyone yourself. And I guess I kind of share a similar story where I dropped out of school at one point and was working full time at a grocery store with men twice my age. So I was putting in, you know, overtime hours for shitty pay. I'm just making minimum wage, broken promises, and basically trying to play a rigged game. And I did a similar thing where I got sent on lunch and I just kept walking home and never came back. I didn't give my 2 weeks or anything like that. And then I had nothing. I had no school. I had nothing, right? I lost some respect with people for leaving that way. So there's connections gone, things like that. And I think that too it's hard to call it a mistake, and I'm sure you feel the same way about what you just labeled a mistake because, you know, it brought you here eventually, right?
Yeah, and that's another thing too. It's like you could totally disregard everything I said because if you're the type that uses your job for comfort, then you need to cut that cord.
Exactly.
And you need to force yourself because I tell you what, when you're 15 days late on rent, you're going to get evicted in a week. You'll figure out a way to make money.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's kind of what I say is like I found a bunch of hobbies that made money,
which is beautiful. I mean, that's what we all want to do, right?
And but eventually those hobbies are just they don't fulfill you. They're not the reason you quit your job in the first place. Because ultimately, even if you just want to get rich and famous, you have an underlying thing of like I want to help people. I want to provide something, a service, a software, something that you're like, the world needs me. Right. And this is why. So you have that no matter what. But you also got to be realistic. There's a reason why I knew that I would never make it in fitness, and that's because I'm not, like, my genetics and body type, I'm not super shredded. So why, and I believe in, like walking what you talk. And if I don't have abs all the time, how am I going to sell an ab product?
Yeah, it's so true.
But nobody will question me on my knowledge of dressing better. Like everywhere I go, like that's just who I am. That's what I become. That's who I've made myself be. And that once you become what you're trying to teach, or if you are what you're trying to teach the world. For example, Greg O'Gallagher is a his business has exploded in the fitness world. His Kino Body is his brand, and I love all this stuff. And fitness people are like, well, how are you doing it, Greg? It's like, well, it's pretty easy to see. The dude's 7% body fat year round, and he tells you exactly how he does it, and he doesn't seem like a douchebag when he's telling you.
Yeah, he's not lying, and he's being true, and he's being of service. Again, the same thing you were talking about before.
Yeah, and he doesn't have to have this amazing video sales letter or this amazing sales copy because all he does is put pictures of himself up.
Yeah.
And then if you doubt that, you go, oh, let me go check out his Instagram. Oh, well, he's still shredded. Oh, let me go check out his YouTube. Well, he just showed me his abs. Yeah, he's shredded.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the same thing with Elliot Hulse. The reason he's like, Elliot is Elliot. Elliot is who he is on YouTube every single day of the week.
Yeah, there's no charade happening there. I love that. That's how I initially connected through you and Elliot. It's just you watch these videos with people like yourself and Elliot, and you just go, this is him. This is him being himself. And I'm not from a small town, but I'm from the suburbs. And when I was younger, I wanted to have conversations like I'm having right now, and it was just impossible. Like, the people I was hanging around just wanted to smoke weed, or they just wanted to drink, and they wanted to talk about girls, but I wanted to talk about other shit, right? And it wasn't until I started finding people on the internet who thought the same way as me that I could actually, like, get this catharsis out of me, and like, it was so beneficial just meeting people who, I have nothing against my friends who wanted to do all that stuff, because they were just being themselves, right? It's really nice to, when you finally find you're not the only one who thinks like this, and you can actually experience the conversation you're going after.
Yeah, exactly, and that comes too with, it's that comfort zone when people get out of high school or college, like, they never change. Like, that's why you see, like, the quarterbacks and the star football players, like, they relive those glory days. They're not making any new glory days. They're just stuck in the past.
Yeah, just
they don't embrace, like, the unknown, and so it's, and I mean, it's sad, but to be able to recognize it, is, I think it puts you at a much higher level just to even recognize that that's going on.
Definitely.
It's amazing to me.
Definitely, I agree there, and again, it comes back to what we both called a mistake, where let's say we both recognized that kind of thing going on with us, where we were living in the past, and it just wasn't fulfilling us in the way we wanted it to, and we both took what I would call, like, a giant leap forward and just dropped everything. Whereas I think a lot of people are wrong when they go about it with that way. You can really make small changes, like you were saying before. If you're working a 9 to 5 and you're making good money and you have a family to support, no one's going to tell you to just quit your job right away. But people will tell you to put the effort in and do what you said. When you come home from work, either wake up early in the morning the next day or straight at night, start working on the other thing you want to do. Small baby steps will add up eventually.
Yeah, and it also too, that could totally, like, on the opposite end. I mean, I follow a lot of YouTubers, especially fashion bloggers and stuff like that.
Right.
And they still work 9 to 5s. There also is a point where it's too late to jump ship. Like, there's an opportunity, and you'll know it when you get to it, where it's like, you need to make this your full time.
Ooh, that's a scary thought, eh? If you miss it, ooh.
Yeah, I mean, and I see it. I'm like, I follow a guy. He's awesome on YouTube. I'm not going to mention his name because it's, but I mean, he's a fashion blogger, and I love his stuff. So, like, and to be honest, I steal a lot of his stuff because I know he's not going to do anything with it.
Yeah.
So it's like he makes these amazing videos. He's got 200,000 YouTube subscribers, and he still works at a shoe store.
It's almost sad. It's like,
I'm like, dude, like, there's a point where it's like, okay, maybe I'm not making as much. I mean, I'm sure he's making more than he makes at a shoe store online. I don't know what the hell he's doing staying working there.
Yeah, who knows, right? Yeah.
Yeah. But, there's people like that, and I mean, if you watch the Shark Tank, which I don't know if they have in Canada.
We have Dragon's Den, it's called.
Yeah, same thing is, like, one of the questions that, like, Mark Cuban always asks people on Shark Tank is, wait a minute, you still have a job? Well, why haven't you quit yet?
Scary.
And sometimes there is a good explanation. Sometimes some people are doctors and they create something that they want to just get, like, side income from, but eventually, like, your side income becomes your full income, and then that times 100.
Right.
So it's like, there's a time when it could be too late too, but if you're having that problem, you'll probably know it.
Exactly, and there's a time where it might be too late, like you're saying, and what I've been realizing a lot too, there's a time where it might be too early. I have a friend right now he never went to school after high school, and he kind of jumped right into this whole, I'm going to do my own business, I'm going to do it my way, and I feel like what you miss when you do it that way is the perspective of working under and for someone that you hate and doing something you hate, and how much that fuels you to not be lazy and to, you kind of need to see that side of the world in order to see the other side, in my experience at least.
I'm pretty much the same way, because if once you experience having to get up at like 6 a.m. and hate your job, like, there's never that motivation to want to go back to that. Like, and that's like and as entrepreneurs, like, we have to manufacture our own motivation. Like, it's not like all sunshine and rainbows. Like, I know that, I can tend to be too lazy for too long and, not be productive. Like, and I know a lot of other people that are like that. We have to, like, I mean, in essence, like, I mean, I schedule out my day as if I have a job. Like, it's like, it's like, so I quit my job, made a business just so I can make myself a schedule and be a business again.
Exactly, yeah.
But it's on your own terms. So it's like, well, that makes all the difference when it's like, well, if I don't want to work tomorrow, I don't have to. but I want to because I want to expand my business, and I know I need to get 3 videos out this week, and I know I need to finish that product so I can sell it, because now there's people and there's customers waiting for it that want to buy what I have to sell. Right. So it's like, so you gotta force yourself to be motivated. But yeah, like you're saying, like if you've never experienced shit, like, then no, you're not gonna be motivated by, having to go back to that.
Ingredient. It's like you need it almost, in my experience.
I think so. I mean, and everybody I know that's super successful has experienced, they've worked in some pretty shitty, crappy jobs and been treated like shit, or not even been treated like shit, but just realize firsthand, wow, I just did all this work and I got a quarter raise.
Right. Yeah. It's I'm wondering your opinion on this. Then we're talking about a very specific person here who wants to be an entrepreneur, who wants to work for themselves, who wants to work on their own terms. But this might be a really simple question to answer, but I think while it's simple, it's not easy. Do you think that is for everyone? Do you think everyone is meant, maybe not even meant, do you think everyone is able to target what they love in life and make a business out of it and then work on their own terms? Do you think that's possible?
I think it's possible, but I don't think everybody's capable of doing it. Like, everybody has the ability to do it, but there's times, like, everything loses its luster after a while. Like, you may love working out, but if you filmed every workout and now you have to film to get paid, all of a sudden you don't really love working out anymore.
Interesting, yeah.
I mean, I love fashion, but there's times I hate going to the mall.
Yeah.
Because going to the mall now usually means there's probably somebody with me, or I'm going to buy something for a video, or I'm, it's not just I'm going to the mall to get a new pair of shoes because I'm going out tonight. Like, it's, it's a good problem to have. I don't mind having. Yeah. But at the same point, like, even somebody like Elliot, I mean, there's days when I know Elliot doesn't want to film a video, because it's no longer, you're no longer just filming for fun. You're filming because now I'm expected to make these videos.
Yeah, it becomes, it's work. You can't be lazy again.
And I mean, too, this, like, especially with YouTube, man, like, YouTube hate and comments and hate emails, and that shit wears on you, man. It sucks. Like, nobody talks about that. Like, it's, if you just, like, poured your heart into a video and 4 people leave a comment saying you're fat, like, it's just like, or like, dude, oh, you're a douchebag, that outfit didn't look good, or hey man, get your teeth fixed, like.
And then you click these people's profile, and it's the ones that have, like, the default picture set up, and it's just like, every single one of their comments is a hate thing, and you're going, I'm sure you know what I mean, where you're like, all right, this guy has some deeper issues he's got to deal with.
I mean, and especially, like, I'm in a lot of Elliot's videos too. I mean, like, I'm a bigger guy, and so, like, when I'm working out, like, I weigh like 210.
Right.
So if you catch a bad angle, I look like I'm 400 pounds and like Jabba the Hutt. I'm like, fuck, man. Then it's like, all right, well, of course, somebody will hyperlink to the exact minute on the video where you look like a fat fuck. I'm like, oh
man, there's some people, that's what they're every single day. They don't have anything else going, so they're just trying to hurt people. It's a bully, right? That's all it comes down to.
But now it's like they never go away. So it's like, and that is true. I mean, so if you, like, it's tough to motivate yourself to continue to do something, even if, like you said, you're getting hate, or you're getting you're getting made fun of, or even just insecurities. Like, these things, like, people will find them and they will exploit them, especially if you put yourself out there on YouTube, and not a lot of people can handle that.
Yeah, it's not for everyone.
Yeah, I mean, there's days where I hate people, or if somebody I still take refunds personally. Like, and I know I shouldn't. Like, I have a customer support girl, and I don't want to know anything about them. But sometimes they'll give me an email that'll come through, and somebody will say, hey, Ryan, I bought your products. It just wasn't for me. I think you're an idiot.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I just want to, like, unload on that person onto the keyboard. And let's just say you got that email at, when I was getting ready to start my day at 9 a.m. Like, that fucks up your day.
Yeah, that's a big thing, no doubt about it.
So, like, shit like that, like, not a lot of people have the fortitude to continue to keep pushing, even though, that's going to happen. Like, I couldn't imagine, like, I mean, I don't know, maybe I will eventually, but I can't imagine being a celebrity and not being able to take a piss at a public bathroom without talking to a fan.
Right. That makes it's something that I've struggled with too a lot, because I think personally for me that the idea of working for myself is very appealing, and I often feel guilty when I start to entertain the thought that maybe that's just not for everyone. And I've always wondered, is there someone out there who just, they want to work on someone else's terms, they just want to, they want to have a scheduled kind of lifestyle, and then, but is it more like what you say, where deep down, really, there's a potential for them to escape that? I've always wondered that.
I think everybody has the potential, but are they willing to do the grunt work to find out that that's what they're supposed, like their calling, I guess?
Right.
Because, I always knew I wanted to work for myself, but if you asked me 5 years ago, I would have had no clue I'd be talking about men's fashion.
Yeah, it's weird how that works, exactly.
And then you also have to have the ability to notice something that that you've learned that can be of benefit to a lot of people, like I did with fashion. And I'll be like, wow, I can make a business out of this.
Yeah.
Like, this is something that I could share with the world, and I could help a lot of people. Like, a lot of people would, like, miss that.
Yeah, a lot of people wouldn't even associate helping people with business, which is ridiculous to me. Like, if you take business in university or college, that should be the first lesson, is what is a business? And, given the definition you gave, where a business is far beyond just the idea of making money, it's the idea, I really like what you said, of just extending your hand and helping someone.
Yeah, and I mean, like, even to go on that, like, there's a lot of things that are associated with business that nobody teaches you. Like, I didn't really know I had to pay taxes when I started, nor did I know how to even pay taxes.
Right.
Like, and I got ripped off by a couple accountants that, like, screwed me over. Like,
oh man.
And, like, these things, like having a bookkeeper, understanding, like, what can I write off and what can I write off, or what can I, like, and also just doing your own taxes, like, just that shit alone, like. You try getting a check for $5,000 that you've worked your ass off for a year on, and being like, well, 10% is going to the government.
Ooh, man.
And then taking that money and putting it in a separate account and never touching it again.
Yeah. It's hard, and it's why the hell wasn't I taught that in my grade 12 business class? I still wonder to this day. I just remember that class sleeping, right? Yeah. Like, I wonder if it's my fault. And then I remember looking up every now and then in the lesson plan. It's talking about whatever, right? It's like not the important stuff,
Exactly. I mean, and it's like also, it's like the only requirement for passing business school should be having a business that makes money.
I never thought about it that way. Yeah, that's interesting.
That's it. Or make money. Just start something that makes money, because now you technically kind of have a business.
Yeah. That's
like.
Oh man, how many people would fail, man? How much money the business schools would start losing? They'd have so many dropouts. It'd be like 99% dropout after the first year.
Yeah, because they can't do it.
Yeah.
Because nobody, like I said, not everybody has the fortitude to be able to do it. And as call it, people will probably be like, Brian's a fucking dickhead for saying that, but I know how hard I worked, and, people only see the sunshine and rainbows on the outside. They don't see, like, you have a conversation with your girlfriend about why you can't pay rent, and then tell me if having a business is for you.
Right.
Like, and then continuing to have her believe in you to, and that's another thing too, like significant others, people that are married, like, they have it twice as hard, especially if you've established a set comfort zone for your family.
Yeah, you got people relying on you.
Like, that's hard, like, and that's hard to deal with, and there's no good conversation you could have with your wife and telling her why you should quit your job and why you can't pay your bills if you do quit your job.
Yeah, it's and I think that's the thing I've struggled with. It's am I wrong judging people if it's just not meant for them? Does that put them beneath me? And I don't think so. I think everyone's got their place, kind of like what you said. Everyone's got their calling, and I think a lot of these bad digital entrepreneurs that I brought up earlier, a lot of them are these people who are simply trying to do something that they're either not meant to do or they're not doing it right, and they've got to figure that out ASAP.
Yeah, or they're just not doing it for the right reason.
Yeah.
And if you can push through and figure out the right reason, then you'll make it.
Exactly.
Because there's no doubt in my mind now with fashion and style that, like, I mean, I don't know how far this business is going to go, but it's only getting started now. It's just, and that's kind of the awakening is that, well, now, like, okay, well, YouTube's infinite. I only have 6,000 subscribers. Well, what's going to happen when I have 100,000? Well, am I going to be making triple the money?
Yeah.
Probably. Because it's statistics now. It's numbers.
So I got to ask you, then, are you constantly looking to the future and planning these kind of things and weighing out your options, or are you more the kind of go with the flow?
I mean, I used to be go with the flow until I realized that wasn't working for me anymore. Now, like, I mean, I have every week mapped out from now until the end of the year.
Every week.
And I have a business partner. He's a good friend of mine, and he has a very successful business. He's in the dating niche. He helps me a lot as far as I fly to California every 3 months, and we go over the next 90 days.
Wow. See, I've always found I like the idea of going with the flow and being present. I think that has its time and place. I think what a lot of these people who I also plan out I don't plan out my weeks. I plan out every single day what I want to get done, and I give it a list of priority. And sometimes I don't always do it like that. But I do think it's important. I think what a lot of you see this like mindfulness movement really popular on the internet right now, and it's these people who love the idea of being present. And I think what a lot of them are missing, and what I'm hearing from you, is that sometimes being present means thinking about the future.
Yeah, and I mean, if I was to wake up every day and be present, I'd go to the beach and get drunk every day. Or I would come here to the same cigar bar I'm sitting at, and I would order Moscow Mules and smoke cigars and watch TV. Like, that's being present.
Right.
So there's a point where it's like, and it comes with like certain levels of your business. Like if you got a business and you're making $50,000 a year, or like we'll say $15,000 a year part time, you make the decision to go full time. Now you're making $50,000 a year. Then you're like, I want to make six figures. So you have these changes that happen in your own mindset, and that you become more and more like a businessman and like a actual company.
And you think to you that means not necessarily planning out every one of your weeks, but having a structured idea of what you're aiming for. You think that's necessary?
I personally do. And I mean, because I've seen behind the curtains now of guys that run 7-figure internet businesses, and they know exactly what they're doing every second, every day, what's due, what's and they're still present too. I mean, you change things on the fly. Like exactly. if I want to make a video about something, I'm going to make a video about it. Like if I want to make a product about something, I'm going to make a product about it. If I don't want to do anything that day, I'm not going to do anything that day. Because you have to work, and everything's cyclical, but there's times when it's like, okay, I need to just know where am I going to be in 90 days and what's going to get me there. Well, okay, I need to do 5 videos a week because my email list grows when my video account goes up. Okay, well, how am I going to get more video views? I need to make more videos. It's basic numbers, and it's like you look at it and you're like, okay, well, this is how I do this is how this grows, so I just got to do more of that.
It all adds up, right?
And I mean, it does get hard finding, it comes back to people having the fortitude. There's some days I wake up and I know I need to make a video, but I have no idea what that video is about.
Interesting, yeah, and then it's just whatever comes to mind, I imagine, right?
Yeah, I mean, I have my go-tos. Like, I just start surfing YouTube to find ideas. I read. Like, I read a lot. I probably read a book a week.
Right. That actually brings up an interesting thing. You mentioned earlier that you're not gonna name his name or anything, but you said sometimes you'll take inspiration from another YouTuber. And I come from a world of musicians. I'm doing my second undergrad right now as a music major, and I can't believe how many people you meet who are musicians, and I think this translates to other things too, who think of stealing as something purely bad. And I can't think of one good musician who was just born with all these amazing ideas. Every single person I know who's good at music has stolen an idea from someone else. And I think people need to realize, these people who are sitting down at their computers and going, all right, this idea is going to come to me, it's got to be creative, I got to think it through. No, just go on YouTube, like you said, look for something you're interested in, and put your own spin on it. Whatever you have to do, make sure it's authentic to you, but don't be afraid to use the services someone else is offering already.
I'm 100. I actually read Seth Godin. For people listening, he's an awesome marketer and author, and really great guy to listen to and read his book. He said everything is remixed, you know, and it's like there's people that make money off doing covers of everybody else's stuff. Well, there's a reason why because it sounds different,
right?
You know, and people like make, you know, like if I were to make a dating product, people would buy it from me just because it's from me, and they trust me, and they like my information, the way I deliver it better than so and so.
For sure.
And you're doing yourself a disservice if you don't see that. You know?
And if you think of yourself as this omnipotent, I'm gonna have the best idea in the world, I don't need anyone else's help. Like, no, you're setting yourself up for failure, no doubt about it, because not only are you being selfish, but you're being overly cocky.
Yeah, I mean, totally. I mean, take you know, and there's also the argument of, I don't want to sell out.
Yeah.
My perfect example of that is Taylor Swift. You know, do you think deep down she really, really wanted to be a pop singer? Probably not. But I guarantee you, when she's driving around in her private, her 17 tour buses and her, you know, her private jet, that she probably doesn't really care that she made the switch from country to pop.
It's not that bad in the end, right? People change.
You know,
people change.
Like, and that's why people get really stuck on. A lot of people get stuck on what I say, and they take it as gospel, and I hate that because, you know, especially with fashion, my style changes on a day-to-day basis. Like, you know, you know, like I'm big on like the bad boy persona, but it's like, well, I don't want to be the bad boy anymore. I want to be the dude that everybody thinks is rich as fuck.
Right.
You know, so
yeah, you got to be flexible like that.
You know, so I mean, I say that, but I mean, there's certain things like I want my personality to shine through in certain things. Like I'm wearing high top Vans right now because I've grown up wearing Vans. I used to race BMX in Vans. Like that's who I am. It's part of me. You know, and I mean, like, you know, going back to the Taylor Swift reference, she still has kind of a country feel to a lot of her pop stuff. You know, like she's still like it's still very like
it's there.
Yeah. You know, like, and a lot of people get stuck in their own head that they can't change, they can't evolve. And I mean, if you're not, you know, for one, if you're not evolving as a person, you know, you're not growing. You're not going to ever achieve what you're meant to, because the stuff I talked about a year ago is not what I'm going to continue to talk about a year from now.
Yeah, I always find that it's such an interesting thing seeing these people who are just stuck, and you don't know what to say to them because you know that they need to change something to not be stuck, and at the same time you know that's going to be hard work and it's going to be really scary and they might fail, and if you tell them that, they're going to blame you.
Yeah,
and it's just part of the game.
It is, and it's all. I mean, you may fail at that, but you may succeed at something else that you learned along the way.
Right.
So it's like, it's never actually failing. Like, I mean, I'm not always going to talk about fashion, even though fashion is 90% of like my life right now.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't talk about fitness much, but nobody questions the fact that I say you should work out.
Exactly.
You know? And I mean, I'm doing the world a disservice if I don't evolve past fashion and go into personal development, helping. I mean, this was a fashion interview, and for 45 minutes now we've been talking about how to make money on the internet.
Yeah.
Obviously,
change.
You know, obviously, I mean, this is me. This is like what I think about. This is like, these things get me excited. I love to work out and stay lean. I love to ride my bike, and I love to talk about how to make money on the internet. And I love to dress well.
Yeah, you kind of build up these like little pieces of what makes you. And so many people I meet, they actually have no idea who they are. They know their name. They know maybe what they like to do when they come home from work. They know what they work on, and that's it. They don't have like these little bits of experience to draw on that help make them as a person. And furthermore, they don't have the willingness to understand that sometimes those little bits and pieces, they're going to break off and new ones are going to come in. Like you gotta go with the change and just do something sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at celebrities, like, I mean, look at Puff Daddy. I mean, Puff Daddy started as a rapper, then he became a label, then he became a vodka owner. Like,
yeah,
you know, like, I mean, you evolve.
His name too.
Like, yeah, I mean, same thing with Snoop Dogg. Same thing. I mean, Jay-Z. Like, Jay-Z is not a rapper. Like, Jay-Z is a music business.
Yeah, he's so much more than just rap, right?
You know, so it's like, you know, if you pigeonhole people, if you think somebody is just, you know, if you pigeonhole somebody, then that's just small thinking on your part.
Yeah, especially if you pigeonhole yourself too, I would say.
Well, I think that they kind of go hand in hand.
Yeah,
for sure. If you get mad at somebody for evolving into something else, then you're obviously stuck somewhere you don't want to be.
Yeah. Don't be bitter, people. You gotta It's you're talking about these haters on the internet. It made me think of a Gandhi quote. I don't know if I'm probably butchering it here, but maybe you're familiar with it. It's something like, when you do something you love, first they're gonna talk about you behind your back. Second, they're gonna hate you, and then third, they're gonna give up or bow to you. I can't remember what it is, but it's like, yeah, these haters are gonna exist far beyond the internet, and you're always gonna find these people who are gonna want to pigeonhole you, and you've gotta just you almost have to pity them. I used to be like, oh my god, this guy hates me, fuck him, I hate him too, and now I'm kind of coming from this place of, this guy hates me, oh man, I feel bad for him. I'm kind of a nice guy, like he'd probably be a good friend with me, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's so hard to do that though.
It is. Like, and it also, like, you can add a fourth step. They're going to ask you how you did it and pay you for it.
That's true.
So, I mean, yeah, I mean, I take a lot of, like, I love pop culture references, and, like, I mean, right now everybody's talking about 50 Cent going bankrupt, but 50 Cent's probably not really bankrupt.
Oh, no way, man. That guy's incredible. Have you ever read his book, the one he did with Robert Greene? Yeah, man.
Oh, yeah. It's
that's not bankrupt.
That's a Bible.
Exactly, yeah.
I mean, one of my top 10 books for sure is that one.
That's actually a great segue, because I don't want to keep you much longer, Ryan. This has been awesome. I do have a couple other questions.
Go ahead, man.
If you had to recommend to someone one book, just one, what would it be?
I would do 50th Law. It's one of my favorite books ever. Like,
it's a great book.
50th Law is awesome. There's actually, for success and, like, starting a business, Felix Dennis. Yeah, he's got 2 books, 88th and Narrow Road and How to Get Rich. Both those are insanely awesome for just, whether or not you think you may have it to make it as a business. What else? Trying to think, like, I mean, I read a lot, so there's, like,
right.
I like anything by Jim Rohn. Like, Jim Rohn's awesome because he's not really rah self-help. I'm not big on, like, you can do it. Like, that's not.
That only gets you so far.
Yeah. Trying to think, like, any Robert Greene, like 48 Laws of Power is awesome.
Mastery.
Mastery. I never actually finished it.
Ooh,
I have it.
I love that book. I guess because I come from the perspective of, I was reading it as I was starting my second undergraduate as a musician. It's just like, it was perfect in that if you're trying to learn a skill, buy Robert Greene's Mastery. You won't regret it. Yeah.
I think because I already kind of had my skills, like, right. At the time. I mean, I should reference back that. I should go read that again. You're right there. Anything by Dan Kennedy. Dan Kennedy. His book, No BS, Wealth Attraction, The New Economy, will literally change your view on how you think about making money and money in general.
Interesting.
That's in my top 10. And then the other one is Ramit Sethi's I Will Teach You to Be Rich, because I didn't understand the whole how to save money.
Right.
And that book has changed my life 100% on how to actually save money.
I got to check out some of those books, man. How about if we leave the realm of business and success, and you can even go into fiction books here. Do you have anything do you ever read stuff that has nothing to do, let's say, self-help, business, success, any of that stuff? Do you ever leave that realm completely?
Not books-wise, but I mean, I'm a big movie buff.
Right, okay.
I'm not a big, like, I don't read fiction. Like, I've never gotten into it. I tried a little bit, like, reading some, like, Harry Potter and shit like that.
I tried the same thing. It didn't work for me.
But for me, I like character and, like, character development, like, in stories and movies. Like, I mean, I'm big on, like, any, like, Iron Man, like, Tony Stark, I think is amazing. Like powerful characters and why they're portrayed like that and the mannerisms that they have. I like some trash TV, a lot of trash TV. I can tell you what's going on with Keeping Up with the Kardashians. Like, I can tell you, I know what's up with the Real Housewives of Orange County.
There's some real good perspective that can be gained from watching those kind of shows. I gotta say, they're almost educational in a way.
Yeah, I mean, if you change from looking at it and thinking of it as trash TV and look at it, I was like, why does the world like this?
Yeah, you learned something from that for sure. I never even thought of it that way. Like, why is this selling?
Yeah, because why does Kim Kardashian's butt have more fans than President Obama? Like, that's all I'm saying. She's doing something right. Like, I mean, I'm fascinated by, like, artists like Justin Bieber, Katy Perry, like, all these people, like, that have fascinating stories and like, they're kind of not real life, but they are.
They are, and they're full of haters.
Yeah.
Those are the same people with these fascinating stories. They happen to have the most amount of haters in the world, probably.
Yeah, I mean, I literally, I wrote an email about Justin Bieber, and I think I got like 20 fuck yous back for that email. It's calling me an idiot for, I'm like, dude, he's on the Forbes top 10 richest people in the world. Like, you need to listen to that kid. Like, I don't care what you think about him.
Oh,
He's
man,
doing,
yeah. It's
like,
crazy how many people they can't accept that this genius kid with amazing talent is winning at life and they're not. And it's that same thing when you meet this guy who hates you, like, I fucking hate you too, and I don't even know anything about you. And it's like, you got to get past that. Like, I can't stress that enough. You can't be bitter, especially when you don't know these people.
Exactly. And I mean, so that's kind of like my outlet. I mean, and I get stuck on, like, I love Netflix, like binge watching TV shows. Like, I'm stuck on White Collar right now. I don't know if you're familiar with that show.
No, I never heard of that one.
It's about an ex-convict who was like a con man, and he got arrested. He was like an art thief and like a con man, and like just his character is so fascinating. He was in prison, and he's taken out of prison to work right along with the FBI. And like he's always like you never really know if he's going to become a convict again, so you never really know if he's stealing something or if he's actually helping the FBI. Like, it's just fascinating to me. I've probably watched like 30 episodes in the last like 2 weeks.
I started getting into House of Cards. I'm on like episode 4.
That's on my, like, I have that like in my mind. I want to start watching it. That like Suits. I love the show Suits.
They actually filmed that right at my girlfriend's office. It's in downtown Toronto. That's where they filmed that.
That's amazing. I love
gotta
that
watch
show.
I've never seen an episode. Neither is she, actually.
Well, if you're any into fashion and like what the power of a suit can convey, like, that's the show.
Oh man, I wore my first suit in 15 years last year, and
nice.
Oh my god, man, guys who were still wearing cargo pants and beanie hats, like, you guys don't know what you're missing out on.
And that's what I tell people in my products, man. I'm like, look, just go to H&M and spend $75 and get yourself a slim pair of pants and a blazer, and just go out.
Oh, it feels so good.
Like, because you can't explain it until it happens. And people, I'm just like, you'll probably be asked if you own the bar. Like, you'll probably be asked, somebody will buy you a drink. The bartender will serve you first. You may get comped a free bottle. Who knows?
Right, exactly. Yeah, you never know. Just give it a shot. Last thing I want to ask you, Ryan. If you had to give one piece of advice to, let's say, the target audience that this podcast is after, which I would say is people not only looking for success, but they're interested in just developing as a person and being happy, and you might label that all on success. I don't know. I think it's a little up in contention. What would be your advice for people that are after those three things: success, happiness, and personal development?
Just, like, if you say you're going to do something, do it. And then if that doesn't work, keep doing something.
I like that, man.
Like,
makes sense to me.
Because I've gotten everything that I've achieved so far because I did not stop.
Right.
And I mean, that can, 100% relate that to business. Like, I never knew I'd be in fashion. I never knew that I'd be teaching guys style. But I found it. Or it found me. I mean, I don't know if you can say I found it, but it found me, and even that was a daunting task at first. But like, I mean, I still, you're on my email list. I probably, I either make a video or write 1,000 words every single day.
Yeah, you hustle.
I mean, I never stop delivering content. I never stop creating products. I never stop working out. I never stop riding my bike. I never stop dressing well. Like, embody everything that you believe in.
Exactly.
And that's kind of, and you'll be okay. I promise.
I like that, man. I agree with it completely. If people want to follow you, can you give them their Twitter, your Facebook, anything?
Just my YouTube. I send everybody there because I don't even have a site really. I mean, I have products, but my YouTube. I mean, if you just YouTube Ryan Magin, you'll find all my stuff, and then definitely get on my email list, which is under every single YouTube video and in every video, but it's makehercometoyou.com. I mean, and it expands far past just making women want to approach you.
Interesting. Yeah, guys, I'm going to say, if you're someone who, like we were talking about before, if you're feeling ugly, if you're feeling, I would even say, lost in other aspects of life, give Ryan a look, man. He's targeting a market where there's clearly a gap, and it's needed, if you ask me. We really need that kind of person. I know I did personally.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate you taking the time to interview me. And this was, by the way, this was an awesome interview, by the way.
Oh,
you asked amazing questions.
Oh, thank you. You're an amazing guest, dude. That was a lot of fun. We got to do it again sometime for sure.
Definitely, because some of the I get interviewed a lot, man, and some are rough. I'm not gonna lie. You never know what you're getting into when you hop on one of these things.
Yeah, that's why I appreciate taking the time to actually sit down and do this, dude. But yeah, we're gonna stop it right here, man. Thank you again. If you guys want to find him, go YouTube Ryan Magin, Magin.
Yep.
You won't regret it. Thank you so much, Ryan.
No problem, man. Thanks a lot, Jared.
That's it for today's episode. If you guys like what you heard, follow us on Twitter at _theKspot.net, search for The Knowledge Spot on Facebook or SoundCloud, or check us out at www.thekspot.net. Lastly, if you guys have any questions for me, I plan on doing my own personal Q&A sessions through YouTube, so email me at contact@thekspot.net.